Welcome, family, to the Legally Great podcast. My name is Lori Lucien, aka Big Mama, aka Big Ma. I am so excited to be having my very first episode. I started this podcast for the purpose of providing information that's going to elevate human consciousness and help people connect to themselves and have the confidence to be themselves and live in their own truth. So I hope that with the information that's provided through the series of episodes that we have, that your life will be illuminated and brightened and that you will walk with joy and peace through the knowledge that we disperse here. So it is with immense joy that I introduce my first guest, Tiffany Joseph. Tiffany and I went to college such a long time ago. I don't even want to talk about it. And Tiffany and I haven't really spoken since college just due to life paths taking us in different directions. But I've maintained connection creepily by by keeping track of her on the Instagrams and the social medias. And I noticed that she was developing expertise in yoga and all kinds of healing modalities. And I wanted to know what led her to that path. And so I gave her a call, and her story just blew me away. Um, and by the title of this podcast, you already know that this woman is a powerhouse. She was able to use her mind and her self love to overcome immense hurdles. And I am excited for you to get to know her and get to know her story. And hopefully, it will inspire you to know your own greatness and achieve your own potential. Peace.
Thank you so much, so much for allowing me to be on this podcast as your first guest. I feel so honored and privileged, and I'm just really thankful to the Creator for allowing us to reconnect in a different space, in a different time. Feel really blessed. About me. So I have a lot of hats. I do a lot of different things. Currently, right now, I am a dance instructor. I teach various styles of dance: jazz, hip hop, ballet, um, tap, step, Zumba. I also teach yoga, and I teach a few styles of yoga as well. I do restorative, hatha, and yin yoga. I am also a shiatsu massage practitioner that is 5 element based. And I am a Reiki practitioner, which I deal a lot with the chakras, as well as different energy systems in the body. I am also an herbalist. So I grow about 65 herbs a year, make my own teas, make my own salves, tinctures, things like that. Very into the holistic wellness field. I do coach various clients on holistic wellness and nutrition. Um, and yeah, and currently I have been really interested in um, working with trauma and how to really link those different things that I do to help trauma victims in various ways. So, one of the things I'm aspiring to do is actually get my um, doctorate, trauma therapy doctorate, because I really think that really would assist in the holistic wellness aspect of my job.
Okay, so now Tiffany, we met in around 2003. I believe that's when I went to college. Again, I drink a lot, so who can be sure? but so we haven't talked in over 10 years. Yeah. And when we linked up about last week, a couple weeks ago, I was just blown away by your story and about by what you've been through and what you've overcome. And so what I would like for you to do is take some time to kind of walk us through your journey.
All right. I like you said earlier, I had a long and kind of really crazy journey into this really, really amazing journey also. Um, I actually was a banker before all of this for about 10 years. I worked for various corporate banks, small banks. I had kind of climbed up the corporate ladder in the banking world from teller to banker to business banker, mortgage lender, like just all sorts of things. And I was on a path to actually becoming an educator and actually training um, other people who are interested in being a banker or anything. At this point I was a universal banker, so I actually knew everything and I could do everything in the bank. So you needed something, I could do it, you know.
Gotcha.
And at the time, while this is all going on, I am also not eating well. Tons of fast food. I'd always make the excuse, well, I'm working a lot of hours, I'm driving around, this is easy kind of thing. And then at the end of the day, I was going to happy hour. So I was really living a life for my job, and I was just either eating to kind of maintain that lifestyle and also drinking to go to sleep so I can go back to what I needed to do, because being in the sales world and the financial world is very, very strenuous. And working for the banks that I had worked for was very hard. And, it got to a point where I was taking anti-anxiety medication in the morning just to get to work. Wow. And then antidepressants just to go to sleep, on top of the alcohol and on top of all that, McDonald's and Burger King and just all the Dunkin' Donuts. Oh my gosh, the amount of stuff that I ate, the amount of money that I spent. And all the while, in the back of my mind, in the back of my heart, I knew that this is not what I wanted to do. And on the side, I was like doing all these, getting yoga certifications, not knowing what I was going to do with it. I just wanted to do it. Getting Zumba certifications, nutrition, herbalism. I start just like all these things. And then I started going to these entrepreneur conferences. And meanwhile, I'm at the bank and I'm feeling secure. My physical being is like, no, you're secure, you're okay. But my spirit's like, this is not where you want to be. But I had no idea what I wanted to do. I tried real estate at one point. There was like all these things I kept trying, trying to figure out what I needed to do. And I just didn't know. I really had no idea.
Right.
And then one day it all came to a head when I found a lump in my chest. And it wasn't just two and it wasn't just three. There were many, many of them. And it got to the point where they were all in my upper chest. And I'm working at the bank. So people see me, people have to face me. It's a very in-person contact a lot of the time when I was working. And people would ask me if I had a boob job, and it was just all tumors. And I had and it came so fast. It from day 1 to day 30, that's how it became. And I had no idea what was going on. I still didn't understand what I needed to do. At this point, I'm just really stressed because now I'm thinking cancer. What am I going to do? How am I going to function? How am I going to live? How am I going to live? Am I going to still work at the bank? I'm trying to figure out all this stuff. And my doctor and my cousin said some really interesting things to me. And my doctor says to me, you need to choose between your health and your job. And I didn't understand what that meant for a while. I didn't understand that. But I was like, sure, health and job, what do you mean? At the time. And I'm explaining this to my cousin, how I'm stressed out at my job. I'm taking these medications. I have all these tumors. I'm not sleeping. And on top of that, I was in a really, really toxic relationship, really abusive and mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I had roommates go in and out of my life that damaged the house. There was just a lot of burden and heaviness in the house. And again, like, because I had no time for anything else but to go to work and then drink at night, I wasn't looking for any spiritual thing. I didn't do any physical work. I didn't really dance. I didn't, do any of that. I mean, besides yoga, I always did my yoga poses. But I wasn't active. And so, but I was still dependent on my banking job. I didn't know I didn't know how to live without my banking job. That's all I knew. All I had been doing, even though I had been getting all these certifications and practicing, I just didn't know what I was going to do with my life after if I didn't have banking. And my cousin said to me, I'm going to just ask you, I'm going to tell you something and I'm going to ask you a question. And I said, okay, what is it? He said, so many people go to their funerals every day just by going to their jobs.
Damn.
He goes, do you want to die every day?
Jeez.
And it dawned on me that something needed to change. And it wasn't just something, everything. It lit the light bulb went on and it was flashing. It was like, this is a warning. You do not change.
Right.
It's going to get worse.
Wow.
My body had to physically create something for me to understand how bad it was getting.
Jesus.
So at the time, that same day, I quit my job, my 2 weeks notice.
The
Didn't
same
have
day?
anything. Same day. Didn't have anything planned or anything. Same day. I went home. I kicked out my roommates. I broke up with my ex. I said to myself, I'm going to quit the cigarettes that I was smoking. I was smoking almost a pack and a half a day.
Oh, man. A pack and a half?
Oh, yeah. The stress. And then the medicine just induced that craving. I'm going to stop the cigarettes. I'm going to stop the fast food. I'm going to stop the sodas. I'm going to stop the red meats. I'm going to start to go green. I'm going to get into herbs. Because my mother always told me there's an herb for every ailment that there is in the world.
Facts.
Got into herbs. I started juicing, all that stuff. Now, meanwhile, I'm at the grocery store. This is day one of me putting in my 2-week notice and changing my life. Like, this was
You
like,
gave up all that food all at once.
yep. I decided I went to the grocery store that day after work.
Wow.
And I bought all the veggies. I took everything out. I became gluten-free. I was like, I'm not going to eat this stuff anymore because I already knew intuitively that these foods weren't good for me.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I would get sick when I ate bread. I knew that I would get sick when I drank milk or had too much dairy or whatever it was, right? Like, I knew, okay, well, let's go off of that intuition. What can you eat?
Right.
So I just started doing veggies and a lot of fruits. Like I said, juicing. I really went on basically a juice fast for a little while. And anyway, on that first day, after I'm at the grocery store buying all these veggies and fruits and getting all these snacks that I can eat that are gluten-free and things like that. And I seen a client of mine from the bank. And she says, hey, I got to come and see you. I got accounts to make. I got a new business. Da, da. I was like, whoa, calm down. I'm actually not there anymore. Sorry. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I'm going to be leaving in 2 weeks. And I'd rather not pick up another project of yours if I'm not going to be there. I'd rather you start fresh with somebody new. Like, I don't want to do that to you. She's like, where are you going? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. I really don't know. And she says, okay, well, can I ask you a question? Because now, mind you, this client has been following me from bank to bank to bank.
Oh, wow.
For years. She says to me, didn't you tell me you used to be a Zumba instructor? I was like, well, yeah, I have my certification. She's like, okay. She's like, you have your yoga license, right? Yeah. You dance? You have your dance licenses? I'm like, yeah. You do Reiki and Shiatsu? Yeah. She's like, do you practice? I'm like, I try, but I have the bank stuff. She's like, well, now you don't, right? No. I need someone to manage my new dance studio. And I need someone to teach classes. If you want the job, it's yours. That was day one. I
That's
left the
crazy.
bank, put my 2 weeks at 9 a.m. I left at 4:30, got to the grocery store at 5, and that happened.
That is
I closed
wild.
the door, opened one. She said, I need you in 3 months. Now I'm thinking, okay, I can do 3 months, but what about this? What about all these tumors? I don't know what am I supposed to do? Pray, meditate, pray, meditate, pray, meditate, eat well, sleep, exercise, get on your regimen. You're about to teach classes, figure it out.
This is all guidance coming from within.
All, all intuitively.
Wow.
It was just all these answers opening, just coming to me. And I'm just like, okay. So I started taking a yoga class every single day and posting every single day for myself, not even for anybody else on social media. It was like I needed to keep myself accountable to
Right.
this. So I started posting every day. I started taking a dance class every day because now I'm not working. And it's only a matter of time where I might have to get a surgery, which it was planned
Mm.
to get a mastectomy.
Wow.
So I'm just doing what I can, doing what I can.
And how old are you when all of this is happening?
I am 30.
Wow. Like that's like
29.
a 29-year-old with breast cancer. That's something that's unheard of. I mean, how did you like this whole time you make these decisions? How are you feeling emotionally throughout this process?
Empowered.
Mm.
A door closed. I closed several doors.
Yep.
All I could live on was my own empowerment.
Mm.
I decided to cut people and things out of my life that weren't serving me any good. And I don't even know why. It just was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. No, I'm going to do me. And I really went inside and I did me. And again, like I said, I'm also eating well and I'm sleeping. And I quit cigarettes like it was nothing. My body was ready.
Yep.
It was completely ready to let go.
Yep.
And I allowed it. And it was just this information was flooding in. So like I said, I have 3 months to figure out what I'm going to do with this situation I have because I'm about to manage this dance studio. After about a month, I go get a checkup. Doctors are like, what's
You
going
said
on?
1 month?
1 month. Some of the tumors that we've seen before, they're literally looking side by side, are not there. I'm not sure what's going on, but keep doing what you're doing, Tiffany.
Whoa.
Okay. Second month. Now I'm already noticing the decrease in my chest, and I'm feeling so healthy and so strong. Second month. These tumors are getting smaller. What are you doing? I just started going green. I'm juicing. I'm exercising every day, like 5 times a day. I'm praying and meditating 3, 4 times a day. Like I'm walking in nature every single day. They're like, keep doing what you're doing. Okay. One day I looked down and my chest looked normal. I didn't know if that was true. Don't know if my eyes were, misleading me.
Getting accustomed?
Huh?
Getting accustomed?
Right. I'm like, that's weird. No. I go get my third checkup. This is the month that they were going to decide if I was going to have a mastectomy. This is the last month that I can figure out what I have to do before I get
Right.
the next job.
And how are you feeling before this?
I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're going to say.
Right.
And I also lost faith in that moment to the fear of having cancer. It
So
just, it like,
complete.
and so I got really fearful and forgot all the work that I did. You know, all the meditations that I did, all the prayers that I had
Mm,
spoken, all the chants that I had chanted, like all you know, like all the crystals that I had poured onto my body to release any negativity that wasn't allowed in my body, that I didn't want to be in my body. And I go to the doctor and they said the biggest tumors that we saw are gone.
wow.
We we don't have an answer for you. We're going to hold off on surgery. And by the end of that month, I was completely clear.
That is amazing,
Completely
Ashe.
clear. And I started teaching, and I've been teaching ever since.
That's powerful. So you go there, and I want to talk a little bit more about that feeling of like giving up after having put in all that work. So is this when you're about to go into the office that you have this moment of just complete doubt and fear? Or was it a couple weeks leading up? When it how was that?
No, I was, like I said, I was just feeling really empowered and motivated. I got up every morning, like 5 a.m., doing my thing. And I, it wasn't until I'm sitting in the waiting room, and it wasn't until the doctor called my name to go into the office. And it was the tone of voice that I didn't understand.
Hmm.
To me, his tone meant doom.
Gotcha.
So when I heard that, I said, dang, then nothing mattered.
Okay, first of all, doctor, I need you to come up with a more cheerful demeanor. Okay?
Right?
Like,
Like,
what the hell? Like, how many times do you get to give this tremendous amount of good news? I don't know. But you gonna pull up? Like,
I think the doctor was confused. I think
oh
that's
wow.
what it was.
Wow. So
Because it was like, she came here
I
3 months
done read your
ago.
records. You know, your medical record said this shouldn't be it.
Right.
Wow. That is I am so excited. So now that I'm thinking about your story, we're gonna pull it back. So you are living a life that you hate, that was not fulfilling you.
Right.
In that moment, were you unconsciously just pushing through? Were you fully aware that you hated it? Like, what was going on in your mind?
I was doing it for the wrong reasons.
Hmm.
I knew. I knew. I didn't want to admit that I knew, but
Right.
I knew. I knew that person wasn't right. I knew the job that I was like trying to climb was literally going to kill me in the end. Right? I knew this,
Right.
but I made excuses. Well, I have to because, my parents said you need this type of job in order to
Mm,
sustain your life. Or corporate America says, you can't climb this corporate ladder, and if you do, like, you gotta be a certain person, which I was, right? And I I hated that. But
right.
I wore the mask for so long that I became the mask.
Mm, that's the trap. They
Literally,
trap
that's
us
what
with
it
that,
was.
right?
Mhm.
When I was in corporate America, they said that you could be white at work, but then when you leave work, you unzip the mask and you can become yourself. But at the end of the day, what ends up happening is your true self feels quelched
Yeah.
and it suffers and it wants to come out and you become depressed
Mhm.
because it takes a lot of energy to hold up a fake image and a fake persona.
Absolutely. So much energy. And then I realized there were so many masks that I was wearing.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Masks that I didn't want to wear, but I had to.
Oh,
And it just, yeah, and I think all of that, and mask for my relationship, mask for my jobs, right? Like masks for the world that I was like trying to be in. And not being authentically me at all. I
mhm.
was living a life that I thought if I did it this way, it would be good for not just me, but for this person.
Right,
Wasn't even thinking about me, for this person.
right.
I'll stay where I'm at because they're getting themselves together.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Is like, I'm no. and I realized that my self-worth, because I took the time to go in and meditate. That meditation really made me do some self-reflection about my life, and it really dawned on me about what kind of person I wanted to be. And I
Wow.
didn't want people who didn't see that in my life.
That is extremely powerful. One of the things we talked about was the fact that breast cancer is an illness that's rooted in lack of self love.
Yes.
Because rooted in the heart chakra region, which impacts the breast area. And so, is that something that you kind of learned through your meditation process? What was the root of your lack of self love that manifested that?
Yes. Self-love, self-worth
Mm-hmm.
was a big thing that I didn't understand those words.
Right. Explain, because like some people won't understand what's the difference between self love and self worth.
That's a good question. So to me, self-love is the love that you have for yourself, like the unconditional, like so expansive love that you have for yourself, deep, profound love that you have for yourself. And self-worth is the expectation people have for you with that love.
Gotcha.
So like if I know that I am worthy and I am loved and fully, then my that worthiness needs to come back.
Right.
And I also intend to give it back as well because I see the worthiness in you. So I feel like maybe that might be
That
off
might be,
the top of
yeah.
my head.
Gotcha. You can also, I like to look at it as business too. Like, well, self love for me is like acceptance. So accepting all
Mhm.
parts of yourself, whether
Yeah,
it's ugly, bad, whatever you want to label it, you accept all parts of you. Like you got a crooked toe, your nose is messed up. Well, it's the most beautiful nose of its nature. Like so, that's self acceptance. Self worth is like, what are you willing to accept? What kind of treatment are you willing to
mhm,
accept? Because everything has energy, right? So
right,
are you matching the frequency of what you know that you're supposed to be receiving?
right,
That's what
absolutely.
Big Mama. That's Big Mama's vantage point. Um, um, yeah, but this is insane. So also one of the things that I realized too is in the midst of you being at your banking job, and this happened to me too, where while being in law school and working at a big firm, I was practicing martial arts and doing qigong and meditation and learning about metaphysics. And it seemed as if like we were doing it, but not really knowing what it would lead to eventually.
Right.
Is that your experience?
Absolutely, completely. Well, first of all, I started as a dancer. I
I
started
do
dancing.
remember from college.
I started when I was 3 years old.
Oh, dang.
I used to perform with the Boston Nutcracker. I
Wow.
danced for the traveling shows. I was on dance teams. I did it all.
Yeah.
Danced for a lot of different studios, and I actually taught dance in high school, so that I could dance other places and get
Right.
that money and get money for costumes and things like that. So like I had already had experience teaching dance for a really long, almost 17 years of my life because I did it in college as well. And so, but my parents were very adamant about me getting a good job. I'm first generation. They were like, you can't make a living off of dance. Like, come on, let's be real, kind of thing. And, and I listened.
Right.
I listened. I'm like, well, one, because I don't want to hear them talking, but two, it was like, well, maybe they know best. I didn't know how to think for myself. And that's something I was actually talking with my cousin is there were some things that weren't given to us as a
Mm,
resource, as a tool. And one of those things was thinking for myself.
right.
I did everything that my parents said, and so they wanted me to go into accounting, which is why I went into banking. I did start in accounting, and my life flashed before my eyes, and I was
Mhm.
like, I cannot do this for the rest of my
So
life.
I don't
And
want to. God bless accountants, but
oh my goodness, like
no,
it was just too
saying
much,
accountant puts me to sleep.
right? Like But I did take a number of classes and got certified in a lot of different things, which is why I was in the banking world for a while. And so, yeah, I went into banking because that's kind of where my parents kind of pushed me. But in the midst, like, I was still taking dance classes. I actually got into a really bad car accident, which actually led me into yoga,
Okay.
and how yoga really healed me in so many ways physically and brought me into kind of that spiritual journey that I've been on
Mhm.
since then. Um, but I had been taking classes. I did jujitsu. I was taking self-defense classes. I was taking different yoga classes. And when I couldn't find a yoga class that fulfilled my need, I would research and find things that worked for me.
Right.
And but then again, there was a point where there were times where I didn't, because my job overtook my whole life,
Gotcha.
banking world. So, like, there were times where I had accessibility to these things depending on what my job was requiring of me, and I would take advantage. But then there were other times where I couldn't. The
Right.
only one that I could sustain was yoga. I could stretch in the morning and I could stretch at night. That was and again, I didn't realize at the time how much yoga was affecting my body. I didn't know how much stronger I was getting. It wasn't until somebody was like, "Oh my God, look at your back, Tiffany. It's so, like," I was like, "My back? Like, oh my gosh."
Yeah.
I had no idea. And so, but like, yeah, it was still there. And I feel like all those, and my mother always says to me, "I'm so sorry I, like, told you you couldn't be a dancer." And I said, "Well, guess what? Everything happened for a reason. I already taught dance when I was younger. I had that skill very, very young. I had all these experience taking various dance class styles and different forms and getting taught by amazing people, right? And then you I get into accounting, which I ended up changing my major into communications and Native American studies. But that accounting that I had and the work with the bank helps me in my business. That's a skill that I have now that I can have. And all the while, even though I didn't know why I was getting a Zumba certification or a yoga certification, it was somehow my intuitive response to whatever the universe was telling me to do.
Right.
You need to do this. And for some reason, I was open to that.
Mhm.
Didn't realizing why. I'd be in the middle of the certification, be like, "Why am I here again?" But doing it because it was like, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do, but not realizing. And I feel like that's kind of how life works, right? Like, they give you all these treasures, right? All these treasures, and it's up to you to figure out what all these treasures mean,
It's like
right?
Slumdog Millionaire.
Right, right. And so now I'm, like, at a point where I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. Like, the universe opened that door with that
Exactly.
dance studio. And because of that, I started gaining more certifications and all these all this knowledge on healing that I
Right.
and I was remember what I told you, I wanted to be a trainer at the bank. That wasn't even what I was thinking about whatsoever. And so it's amazing how, even if you don't even feel like you're open, the universe is speaking.
Oh,
And even if you take one moment to listen, it can really change your life.
that's powerful. Even if you take one moment to listen.
Just one moment.
Well, the way I always think about it is you either gonna listen when it's a nice suggestion, or, or you gonna listen when you ain't got no choice.
It's
Your
so
whole
true.
life, they were probably telling you, "Girl, you need to love yourself. Leave that man. Eat correctly. Put that donut down, sis." You were like, "Sig, sip, bite."
Listen,
You
I
know?
would literally ask the universe, is this the right thing I'm supposed to do? And I swear, like, there would be a car crash across the street. And I'm like, nah, that's not that. That's
Nah,
not that. Like,
that
no,
ain't for
like,
me.
completely just disregarding all the signs. And when I look back, I'm like, oh my,
So
the
many signs.
signs. And so, again, luckily, I mean, I didn't get the suggestions. I got that. You're going to get this lesson right here. But luckily, I decided to listen. Because sometimes even people at that point don't listen.
They don't listen and they don't follow the guidance.
Right.
Man, that's so that's the point that got you to the point of listening, because I know that listening to that guidance is very difficult. Especially when you're trying to assimilate and what they're telling you to do is counter what the dominant culture wants you to do. Like go to school, get a job, work at a job that pays you a lot of money, stack of bread, but not really focus on building yourself up internally. How do you build trust in that internal voice?
Patience, kindness, trusting that you are part of the divine and that you know all and that you are here for a reason. I had to be so kind to myself because there were times where I was like, girl, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, stop. Why are you even thinking like this? Stop. You can go back to the bank. Do you remember? You can go back to the bank. And it's like, and then I had to be like, the good voice won't tell me to go back. I've already made that transition. The good voice wouldn't tell me to eat that donut, knowing that I would have a flare up with my arthritis, right? Like, I'm going to listen to the good first before I listen to the bad. And I'm going to trust that that good is really for the good.
Right.
And that's it.
That's powerful.
At that point in time, I had no choice but to only listen to the good. I had no choice. It was literally life or death. It was literally surgery or no surgery. I had no choice. I had 3 months before they were going to take something away. No. I literally came home and kicked everybody out. I just lost my job.
Yeah.
I had no way of figuring out provisions or anything like that. When I tell you I was blessed abundantly in those 3 months, things were paid for in those 3 months, and I didn't know that that was going to happen.
Yo, let me tell you something about spirit. I think for me, my whole life has taught me that this is a co-creative process. As much as I want to pretend like I'm in control, I have my intentions and the universe takes care of it. Like there are simple intentions that I set. Like when I was in the second grade, I was living in Haiti. I didn't speak English. I even know I was American. And I told all my friends I would speak English. Next year I'm in America and I'm speaking English. The thing about intention is I've been known about this ever since I was a kid. And so that's why I'm so passionate about people understanding the power of their minds and really not allowing those self-limiting beliefs to be like these insane barriers that prohibit them from really getting to where they need to be in life.
Absolutely.
How do we get in contact with you?
All right. You can find me on Facebook. That's one avenue. I do have 2 pages. One is called Grounded by Yoga, Yoga with Tiffany J, and Grounded in Movement, Dance and Zumba with Tiffany J. You can contact me through there. I am also on Instagram. So you can find me at Dangerously Fly, and that's dangerously_FLYY. You can message me there. I am open to answering any questions you may have. You can also find me on LinkedIn. My name is Tiffany Joseph. I'm more than happy to answer any questions from there as well. And if you're interested in emailing me, my email is yoga.movement.grounded@gmail.com.
I hope that you enjoyed the very first episode of the Legally Great podcast. A very big thank you to our first guest, Tiffany Joseph. We are not done with Tiffany. Join us next week for part 2 of our interview with Tiffany, where she'll be breaking down the 5 elements in the 7 chakra system. I hope to see y'all next week. Big Mama out. Peace.